Thank you, Chris. That was great. Great. Perfect song. And welcome once again, everyone, on this beautiful, sunny winter morning, the first Sunday in February. And welcome back to our journey through winter. Last Sunday, we had an abbreviated service to hold the first quarter community meeting, and we paid tribute to the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, who recently made his transition. The week before, though, in our last installment of the Gifts of Winter, we embraced rest. Now, someone commented that they were afraid that they were embracing too much rest. But this is the season for rest, so we can all relax about that one and not worry about it. You know, the energy of spring naturally flows and follows the energy of winter. There will come a time when the days are longer and warmer that we will want to push forth from our rest and venture out into the world. But for now, we're still in winter and we rest. We follow the wisdom of nature. Now, when we reflect on the wisdom of nature, what I have come to see that there are 3 R's contained in that wisdom. There's rhythm, releasing and renewing, and reverence. Now, it sounds like there's 4 R's, but releasing and renewing are really part of the same. So we have rhythm, releasing and renewing, and reverence. Rumi once said, "Be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop." Winter encourages us through our observation of nature to let go, to take some time apart and allow ourselves to drop some leaves. What beliefs or what stuff are you ready to let go of? What no longer serves you? What are you holding on to that's preventing you from showing up in your fullness, from being the truth that you are? You know, there's a saying that says you can't cross the ocean to new shores if you're afraid to leave the port. Can you imagine what would happen if trees were afraid to drop their leaves? If animals were afraid to hibernate? Nature recognized that with each season, there's a letting go. You know, we can fight the seasons, we can resist the changing weather and the landscapes and the changes inherent in the season of our lives. Or we can flow gracefully with those changes as nature does and embrace that rhythm of nature. There is a divine rhythm in nature, even though sometimes it may seem cruel. Last week, 60 Minutes aired a piece about the wolves that they released into Yellowstone Park. It was a great piece. The wolves were almost extinct, but since the reintroduction, they've thrived. What this piece also brought out was the rhythm of nature, the wisdom of the rhythm of nature. Because the wolves were no longer there, the elk population grew and depleted the land of the vegetation. So much so that there was insufficient food for the animals. And because of the lack of vegetation, birds couldn't nest. So it greatly affected that balance. Again, nature has a rhythm and balance. Once the wolves were reintroduced, it reduced the elk population. With the elk population reduced, the vegetation began to grow again. The new vegetation attracted birds into the area. Birds eat insects, so the overabundance of insects were reduced. Nature prevailed and all was restored to balance and order. It was a great piece. If it comes up again, I recommend that everybody watch that. Now, this same goes for us. If we're not willing to release what no longer serves us, how can we expect to get back in balance? How can we expect to experience the flow? We need to restore that balance. And winter offers us just that. Again, rhythm, releasing and renewing, and reverence. Now, each season is associated with an element. We spoke about this briefly before, and winter's element is water. Now, we've seen a lot of that recently in snow, rain, and sleet. And with each form of water demonstrating that it is both adaptable and flexible. It can conform to any shape and yet erode the largest boulder. Now, water is very powerful, but it is also very subtle, and so is the season of winter. Now, each of the 5 elements, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, manifests within our physical bodies too. A balanced water element allows fluidity. It allows us to go with the flow. It allows the ability to rest and nourish ourselves and others. The element of water assists to guide perception and reflection and allows the flow of emotion and expressions like love. Some of the other qualities associated with water are compassion, understanding, and responsiveness to the needs and feelings of others. We can see from that description how important winter is, how important it is to take the time to rest and reflect, to nurture ourselves so that we can emerge refreshed and renewed when spring comes. We can learn so much from nature about the natural order of things and the importance of accepting that order. Winter is a time of rest, to be quiet, a time for preparation for the bursting forth of spring. Now, spring leads to the incredible growth of summer and then finally to autumn's harvest. And then we begin again. It's this incredible rhythm. As I mentioned earlier, the wolves being re-entered into Yellowstone. And we can see from that the natural order of things in nature, in everything around us. The German theologian and philosopher Meister Eckhart wrote, "Every single creature is full of God and is a book about God. Every creature is a word of God. If I spend enough time with the tiniest creature, even a caterpillar, I would never have to prepare a sermon. So full of God is every creature." So full of God is every creature. So full of God is each and every one of us. As we spoke about in our opening prayer, it's up to us to nurture that within us so that we can see and acknowledge the presence of divinity in all of creation. And nature supports us in doing that. Several years ago, I was gifted a book, which was a unique exploration of Advent. The book was called All Creation Waits by Gail Boss. In it, she details her family's Advent calendar, a box filled with 24 tiny animals, all representing a story of that animal and how they prepare for winter. I'd like to read a section from the introduction. It says, "When I wanted to add an Advent calendar to our practice, I looked for one that would, like fasting, give away, and praying, help us enjoy Earth's seasonal rhythm. The ones at Christian bookstores featured a thumbnail-sized case of the Nativity behind the daily doors. Better than pictures of candy canes and gift packages, but I was looking for daily miniatures that were less about Christ's human birth and more about the need for that birth. I wanted my little boy opening each door to sense that Advent is about darkness and hope, fear and hope, loss and hope." So I set about making an Advent calendar. The pictures I found myself drawing behind the cut little doors were of creatures. Beyond door number 1, a turtle. Beyond door number 2, a diamond skin snake. Then a loon, a wild goose, a bear, a doe, a crow. Looking at the animal portraits year after year shows us how a healthy soul responds to encroaching darkness. And there's more than one response. There's the turtle's response, the loon response, black bear's response. When that primal fear of the dark, of the end, begins to slide over us, animals unselfconsciously and forthrightly offer unfearful responses. They take in the threat of dark and cold. They adapt in amazing and ingenious ways. They shape themselves to life as it is given. All 24 creatures enact heart and soul realities for us. Each in its own way says, the dark is not an end, but a door. This is a way a new beginning comes. Winter invites us to embrace that rhythm of nature. It invites us to prepare to open the door to new beginnings. In the first week of this series, I shared the stages of life as understood by the Hindu tradition. They teach that every season is inevitable and that we can relax into flow of those seasons and the flow of our lives. It also recognizes that we are part of a greater flow. That not only do we come from generations before us, we are responsible for the generations that come after us. This understanding is inherent in the seventh generation principle of indigenous people. Now, I mentioned earlier, we have the 3 R's: rhythm, rest and release, and reverence. So we covered rhythm, releasing and renewing, and now we're moving to reverence. Indigenous people of all nations are known for their balance and respect of nature. The 7th generation principle is based on an ancient Haudenosaunee or Iroquois philosophy that the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. 7 generations into the future. You know, we may think of this as karma, but it's so much more than that. This philosophy is currently used, you know, when marketing to sell things like dishwashing soap to cars. We know that there's even a brand called 7th Generation that started out years ago to market green philosophy. But the first recorded concepts of the 7th generation principle date back to the writing of the great law of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. This confederacy, these people were from Northeast North America, and the name means people of the long house, or people who build a house. Now, when they were building, they were not building physical houses. They were building a nation of people with respect and reverence for the earth, and their actions demonstrated that. Now, the actual date is undetermined, but it's estimated that the law was written anywhere between 1142 and 1500. The great law of the Haudenosaunee formed the political, ceremonial, and social fabric of the 5-nation confederacy, which later became 6 nations. Now, I know that's a mouthful. You know, most people think of our Constitution that it's based on the principles of European governments, but in actuality, Ben Franklin had a great respect for the Haudenosaunee system of government, which had a great influence on his contribution to the Constitution. So think about that. We were formed, this government was formed on respect, on reverence. Now, the 7-generation principle says that the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. And it's generally referred to in regards to decisions being made about energy, water, natural resources, and ensuring that those decisions are sustainable for 7 generations in the future. But this can be applied to relationships. Every decision that we make should result in sustainable relationships 7 generations into the future. Think about that. Every decision we make should be with the idea that what we choose today will affect future generations positively. Now, again, not only Native Americans, but all indigenous populations are known for their reverence for nature. But this goes back even to the Druids. The Druids centered their beliefs and practices regarding nature and its gifts. Their rituals included phases of the moon, solar equinoxes. It was heavily influenced by the elements as earth, air, fire, and water. Again, demonstrating a respect and reverence for nature and all the seasons of nature. When did we forget and move away from that? It happened slowly. But that reverence for the earth, and we see it in our practices, that reverence for the earth almost disappeared. And now we're being invited to once again honor and respect nature. Honor and respect all things and one another. So we're invited to respect the rhythm of nature with the example of winter as the time to rest and release so that we can renew. You know, we remember those R's: rhythm, release, renew, and reverence. And that's what winter is calling us to do. So we allow and accept the rhythm within the seasons of nature. We allow ourselves now in this winter to release and renew. And we allow ourselves to hold what we see in reverence, that all of nature is an extension of the expression of God, as with all of humanity. So I invite you, as you move through the rest of this winter, through all the seasons, to remember those R's. Remember, you are part of the rhythm in the flow of life. Allow yourself to release what no longer serves and renew your strength and inner guidance, and show reverence and respect to all. So with that, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes as we move into our meditation. And since the power for the month of February is strength, we're going to do a meditation about strength, our spiritual strength. So I invite you now to close your eyes, get comfortable in your seats. You may choose to remove anything that may be on your lap and just put your feet flat on the floor with your hands comfortably on your lap. You allow yourselves to focus on your breath. You become conscious of every breath you take, allowing it to slow down and allow its natural rhythm to come forth. And you breathe at a comfortable pace for you. You do a mental check of any part of your body that may be feeling tension. And just allow yourselves to breathe into that area so that that area relaxes. It becomes comfortable and pain-free. And you breathe. And in this moment, I acknowledge that my mind is steady. And within me is this spiritual strength that takes care of any situations and circumstances that I may be in the midst of. And I know that situations come and go, and circumstances may change from day to day. But I stand steady in the power of spiritual strength. God is strength. Therefore, I am strong. God is within. So my strength is endless. I need not react to life changes with resistance or with defensiveness. For I hold to the truth that God is my strength, and that is my freedom. I know divine life, infinite love, infinite wisdom and power provides a foundation on which I stand. And that foundation is rooted within me, with the Christ within me. When the winds of change swirl around me, requiring me to change, I hold steady, unwavering, even as I respond with confidence. And I am able to courageously take whatever next steps are necessary. Because the Christ in me, those qualities exist continuously. I hold on to this truth. I am spiritually strong, steadfast, and true. I honor my feelings, and I remain open and ready for all that I may encounter. I am the power of strength. I am the expression of God. And I allow myself to remain in the flow of these truths. And I just breathe. And now I invite you to go deeper and deeper into the silence and just listen. And now I bring to mind anyone who may be in need of prayer, including myself. And I affirm that there is a power and a presence within them that will see them through any temporary difficulty they are currently experiencing. I know that the Christ within will see me and others through anything they may encounter. And the power of strength is within me and within them, moving us along our path. We extend these prayers to the wider circle of the world, and we affirm the truth of who they are, of who I am, of who we are, knowing there is only the one. And now I invite you to bring your consciousness back into the room where you are, back into your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And welcome back. And this is the moment, this is the portion of our service where we have the opportunity to give. So I invite you to take your gifts and hold them in your hands. If you use a credit card, you can envision that, or envision a PayPal logo. And just feel the love that you are radiating up within you, so that all you feel is this incredible loving energy that you are. And you feel this energy infusing these gifts, knowing that God is our source and God consciousness is our supply. And I invite you to bless these gifts with me. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I am open to receive, and I am grateful. And I want to thank everyone who joined our live stream today. And if you're interested in attending our services through Zoom, feel free to email us at unity@unityspiritualcenter.org or to message us on Facebook. Thank you.